you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Alliance Forever. Today I have a 3v3 ladder matcher on the most amazing Roxas map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1, also known as Blue Team in the north, ending with Red Team, also known as Team 2 in the south. Starting off with the easternmost player on Team 1, it is Strife going first lane as a UEF in Amethyst Purple. He is a 1541 rating. To his west is Sailor Moon in Royal Blue. I had to zoom out a second because it is kind of hard to see the difference. He is going as a Cybran as a 1432 rating here in this game. And last but not least for Team 1 is Alexander Berlin going first land. He is a Seraphim in Stitch Blue at 1380 rating. So for Team 1's racial makeup, they have one Cybran, one Seraphim, and one UEF. And no Aeons down here in the south here for Team 2, starting off with the Ruby Red player of Kefka going first land as a Seraphim. He is a 1376 rating. To his west, we have Just Awesome going first land as a Cybran and second land as well as a 1402 rating. And last but not least is the UEF player of Shen Hawk going first land. He is a 1413 rating in orange, the color orange. And that is all the players for Team 2. They also have one UEF, one Cybrant, and one Seraphim. No Aeon on either team. Apologies to those loyal to the Princess. So, with 6 players on the map, currently still we have 17,000 reclaim for 6 players. Almost 3,000 mass per person. That is a ton of mass to scoop up for each of them, especially considering we are on a 10 by 10 map. And in terms of mass point layouts, honestly, there's not really a whole lot. There's a Trimex position. I'll call this a Trimex position and a dual mechs. And that's realistically about it. There's not really a lot of mass. And with all players on both teams being relatively right next to one another, essentially, I mean, if the main base falls for one, it's essentially going to fall for the other two, kind of like dominoes. So both Team 1 and Team 2 need to be aware of that. It looks like for both teams, they've decided on the same strategy, obviously just in reverse, with 2 players on Team 1 going west and 1 on Team 2 going west, and Team 2, 2 players going east and 1 player on Team 1 going east. So it is going to be a very interesting kind of yin-yang scenario where it looks like Team 2 is going to gain the advantage on the eastern side and Team 1 is going to gain the advantage on the western side. We may see a base trade if that does occur, because I can kind of see the cycle going in that regard, but we'll just have to watch the video and see how it goes on. We do see Team 2's Kefka leading the charge against a couple of unknown mech marines he will soon encounter. And he cannot see them for now, but those mech marines should be in range here pretty soon. There they are. The Snoop does get spotted and does get shot down. Mech marines try to get out of range, which they do. And the column will continue moving northeastwardly again. 10 by 10, a decent amount of territory in the map. There's a tiny bit of mountain in the southwest and southeast corners. There isn't any water as well. For those that do not love the naval side of things, there is absolutely 0 water on the map. And just making sure, because they do look like a little splotches of water, but those are tiny little hillocks. So that is it. I mean, it's pretty flat for the most part for this entire game. So it's going to be very interesting how our players play this. I mean, you can kind of look out in the distance. I mean, there's a little bit of a valley. You can kind of see that a little bit in the middle, but not by much. It's realistically flat. So it's going to be very interesting to cover, especially the middle. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least maybe one comm on each team rotate to the middle to try to, force some sort of engagement there, or to divert some resources from one team to another. I forget how far I have to zoom in to get my camera to move. But again, in the east, it is Kefka versus Strife. Kefka goes for that Team 1 radar kill. There's a couple of Snoops shooting at him. But again, a couple of hit points isn't really something to worry about, especially he can regen 10 a second. Those Snoops can't really do a lot of damage. And Kefka's just going to start barreling down against Team 1 Strife. Just Awesome's going to engage. Kefka could easily turn around and go back, but it does look like Just Awesome doesn't want to push forward without him. In the west, both the comms are moving essentially in unison, both Sailor Moon and Alexander Berlin. There isn't a lot of comms in chat, which would indicate that our players are talking in some sort of, I'm assuming Discord, because that's very typical. I was going to say Skype, but that was a long time ago. Kind of shows my age a little bit. I used to talk in Skype in middle school and high school. So it's essentially a couple, I forget how many years it was before Discord really became the big thing that everybody uses. But it's definitely what I used to use. Gun and range going down here. Guns damage range going down the way for Senhawk. Definitely the best thing to go for, especially when he's facing off against two commanders. He's outgunned and outnumbered. And in the east, we have a slowly little T1 bomber going after some mexes here. Outbound from Just Awesome. Huawei thinks that bomber is just awesome for just getting a couple of early kills. Interceptor tries to deal with it, but the bomber is able to get away at least for a little bit. But another interceptor comes and intercepts it and shoots it down. That gun upgrade is progressing really nicely. It's over half of the way, and I feel like this early in the game, I think I can speed it up a little bit because, again, not a lot of players, not really a lot of forced engagements. You can see just a lot of build up here in the back line for both teams trying to upgrade their mexes and their bases and get up to that T2 and T3 tech sooner than their opponents. We do see some fanning out here between Team 1's comms. We even see a retreat to the middle as Team 2's Kefka pushes forward with a couple of THAMs to this position. So Team 1 needs to divert at least some attention to that. I have a sneeze, and I can't get it. My nose is all like, it's, you know how you have that sensation to sneeze, and then you can't sneeze, and you kind of get that like bubbly effect. That's how I would describe it. Kind of like if you drink soda and all those bubbles rush to your nose. That's kind of what I feel right now. So if I do sneeze, I do apologize. But my nose is just like twitching and junk, and it's annoying. We do have those T1 Zooey coming in, trying to annoy those units outbound from Senhawk. But Senhawk is going to push against Alexander Berlin's T2 upgrade. And I think I'm going to slow it down now. We're at 7.5 minutes in this game. Alexander Berlin is going to keep the upgrade going because he's already at 90%, so why not? He'll lose some hit points. He'll probably drop into the yellow, but then jump right back into the green due to the fact he will get more hit points on board that commander. But he will go for gun and then go, nah, I probably should move, and decides to, again, move out of range. Damage and range going on the way here for Strife, and speed and range going down here for Just Awesome. Kefa isn't going for his own upgrade, and Sailor Moon also is going for T2 as his teammate of Alexander did do so. Senhawk trying to get some nice veterancy on board that commander for 1 star and get some more hit points and a regen going on for himself. Is able to two-shot all of those THAMs that are inbound. Getting, again, nice veterancy, constant stream of units, not coming in all at once, which means Senhawk is the, nice engagement there. Not all weapons are brought to bear at one time, being overwhelmed and all of that. Not that this game reminds me of it reminds me a little bit of Helldivers. I haven't played it yet. I've seen lots of gameplay. I probably do need to play it because it is like the game right now, and it's surprisingly not as expensive as other games that have come out recently. So I might dip my toes into it. I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't want to spend the money on a game I only play for like 20 hours, and then that's it, and then I'm done. If I spend $20, then I kind of expect to play it for 20 hours. If I spend 40 or 50 bucks, I kind of expect to play that much. So that's kind of my judgment for if a game is worth it or not. One way to judge if a game's worth it or not the only way. But I am going to start a series on Frostpunk because the developers just released the release date of when that game will launch. When that game came out, I wasn't aware of it, and then one of my buddies was like, hey, you should probably try this game, and I love it. I love the lore. I love the environment. I love the very harsh conditions you're in. If anybody has not played it, I would highly recommend it. Very, very fun game. It's a single-player only game, but if you kind of love kind of a more morally ambiguous, a little bit of a city builder, a little bit of a management system in terms of resources and all of that, I think you would love it. It's very, very fun, and some of the scenarios they have have a nice spin on the game. So again, I will be probably starting that next week, so you'll be seeing a Frostpunk video on the channel next week, probably next week as of either yesterday. No, not yesterday because I already have a video. Probably Wednesday of this week you'll probably see it. Wednesday or Thursday, one of the 2 days. Anyway, we do see in the West, T1 Spam is just pushing against Senhawk in the West. and has gotten behind his facilities and is still pushing forward. There's one bomber slowly dealing with those, but Team 1's Seraphim player of Alexander Berlin is just pumping those things out. He's also going for a tactical missile. He has gun now on board. That commander going to be very, very aggressive with that. Team 2 still employing the 2 comms on the eastern side. I feel like at this point somebody should rotate over, and it does look like Just Awesome is going to do so since he is in that middle slot for his team. Well, middle air quotes because he's just in the middle of that lineup. But the units are going to engage here in the middle, and both of them won't really get much of anything done. It's a lot of just killing units. It has opened a nice hole for Team 1 to exploit on the eastern side here for Strife. And the comm does go, probably should retreat, but he doesn't. He has gun and stealth. Kefka is probably better suited for the middle. He only has T2 on board, especially given Just Awesome needs to catch up to all these units now incoming. He needs that a little bit of range to catch up with them and deal with them pretty soon. The tactical missile is almost finished off for Alexander Berlin in the northwest. That could be very dangerous here for Team 2 Senhawk if he's not prepared for it. The TMD on board the UEF lineup is not great. The buzzkills, they're not great. I'm not going to say they're not bad. They're not great. They're just not. We do see again those units now coming in on the eastern side. When one side essentially seems to be fine, the other side starts to fall. Team 1 again being very, very aggressive and constantly pumping out units on either side. But now we see Team 2 fighting back in the west. The side that had 2 comms on that side of the map has now only had 1 and is now actually being a nice little strength for Team 2, which is obviously good because Just Awesome is now dealing with this very, very, very annoying run-by that is still going on, but he is catching up to it slowly but surely. And we'll be able to get at least probably 1 veterancy out of this. There are some bombers coming in to assist as well when he also has some units coming in trailing him off to secure that border on that eastern side. Team 1 Sailor Moon has posted up in the middle with a nice little tactical missile launcher, the TML-4. It's funny that it's TML. Well, it's probably TML version 4 is probably what it is. Kind of like the code version of naming scheme. It's like, oh, it's, you know, version 1.0 and 1.1 and 1.15 and 1.2. And that's kind of what that reminds me of, the TML-4. The missile is outbound. Where is it going? It's going for the the Mechs, the P-Gens. What's it going for? Might go for P-Gens right here. Let's see. It gets, it does almost take out one of those P-Gens, but it does get shot and it does split. And those units still down here for Team 1's Strife, causing huge issues. Again, they've killed off 6 Mechs, essentially forced Just Awesome to retreat. And he's just going to push the front line and call it a day. He's kind of done dealing with the Calm of Strife is pushing now in the eastern side. But Team 2 is really pushing on this western and middle side now. We can see that Kefka is with his forces pushing Sailor Moon back. T2 and Gun now on board Kefka's commander. Sailor Moon only has T2, which means he can't really fight back, and especially being Cybran, I mean, he doesn't have as many hit points as the Seraphim commander of Kefka. But Sailor Moon, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have any veterancy either. So, yeah, really Kefka is just looking pretty here. Especially the damage-wise. We can see still Just Awesome trying to chase those units. Those units are trying to retreat, and they are, some of them are sitting, but some of them are waiting for their brethren to catch up. The units are going to engage, and those will be mopped up by Team 2's forces. It does look like the Russian front is going to rotate to the middle, and this is where Team 2 is going to focus a lot of their attention. We have Senhawk moving in to assist and force Team 1 back. This would essentially collapse the western side if Team 1 is able to push enough northward, and essentially would give them either 2 avenues of attack to the east or to the west. But it is creating a nice Battle of the Bold situation where they could be assaulted from all sides, so Team 2 needs to be very careful of that now as T2 units are starting to be the main line of defenses for both teams. Those Ilshis are coming online here for Alexander Berlin, and Team 2 has to be very, very careful of that. E3 Air is not being produced as of yet, going for Corsairs, and Team 2 is 75% of the way for T3 Air, and actually 90% as well. So 2 of the 3 players on Team 2 going for T3 Air, and we have seen in some games that has worked, in some games that hasn't worked, so we'll see if it works out in this game. With only 3 players left, I feel like land's going to be, it's weird, because this map is essentially just flat, all avenues of attack open at all time. There's no natural barriers with mountains or valleys or whatever nonsense. So land is going to be very, very important for our players to micro, but if Team 2 can gain a monopoly on air, that's not going to feel good, especially with Team 9 not even going for air as we speak. T3 almost completed here for, let's see, that is Strife in the east, and T3 is not finished yet, but is producing Ilshi, so I can definitely see why he's going to focus that for now. And they're starting to push on this western side once again, but Senhawk is being chased out by Alexander Berlin. Alexander Berlin has T2, missile, and gun, and Senhawk only has gun, but he's almost up to 2-star veterancy, while Alexander Berlin has none. That will be a definite boost to him as well. It kind of makes up for the T2 upgrade, especially when if you kill off that Ilshi right now. There it is. T2 is online, 14.4 versus 13.5. And now he's going to keep pushing forward. Nice overcharge. Gets to lock onto that target of that Ilshi and kill it off pretty dead in its tracks. That does look like Just Awesome has dealt with those forces outbound from Strife that were assailing him for so long. But Strife is still keeping his position, has his own missile launcher, and has gotten a couple kills with it, up 2,700 mass kill. Probably indicates a T2 mechs at the minimum, at least a couple of them. I see a couple of T1 mechs, so probably that was the case. In terms of ecos for this ladder match, we have 136 for Team 2 and 139 for Team 1. Very close together. But again, sometimes these smaller 3v3 matches, especially on a map like this, kind of slows down, especially with focusing on teching up and upgrading mexes. Still, T3 is not started in the air. That's not really looking good as time goes on. Team 2 is starting to pump out engineers and their own T3 P-gens, which means, of course, gearing up for that air production. In the west, Senhawk is pushing against Alexander Berlin once again. Team 1's Alexander Berlin has to constantly essentially go back and forth between the west and the middle, and now Team 1's Sailor Moon has fallen back here into a nice little fire base, but again, Team 2 has a huge amount of territory under their control now in the middle. They own more than 50% of the map, and I could see a scenario where Kefka comes in with Just Awesome and isolates Strife and either kills him off or forces him back. And Team 2 is sitting very pretty with the map control. Of course, Team 1 has built a couple of Corsairs in the interim. I don't see any more of them anymore. Wonder if they already got used up. Nope, that is the wrong player, of course. No, they're right here. Okay, I just didn't notice them. Looks like they're just going to patrol for now. Or go after that air scout, I guess. I don't know. Wonder what they're going to do with it. I feel a snipe is starting to be on the cards here for Team 1, but I just think if Team 2 gets enough ASF, it's not really going to matter anymore. And is there any plans to go after Strife? I don't think so. He's now at 2-star veterancy, has gun. Should probably go for T2 so he can start building some more triads, but he has to have engineers on board to do that for him. And it does look like Kefka is going to retreat now. It is almost 20 minutes in the game. Neither he does not want to be killed off by any sort of, strat snipe, or in this case some Corsair snipe, because it is about 20 or so minutes when you do see that start to materialize. And he's going to retreat and then send the rest of his Team 1 forces to just annoy Team 1's Alexander Berlin on this western side, while Senhawks moves in. And there is a missile launcher spam starting to occur for Senhawks to force Alexander to engage him. And that's what Senhawks probably wants. He wants the kills on board that commander. Nice overcharge, kills off 2 of those tanks, those THAMs. The Ilshis will go. Probably shouldn't engage that overcharge. It goes into Senhawks commander. But Alexander Berlin, of course, doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and those hit points will regen pretty quickly and not really look like it was damaged at all. This is Team 1's opportunity to retake the middle of the map here, but they're not going to go for it. And I feel like Team 2 doesn't want to kill Team 1's commander, just to not give a bunch of mass and eco and whatnot to another player. And that is a strategy, is to keep we're talking about Strife, which is the highest ranked player in the game overall, but as an example, keep the weaker player alive to essentially suck up the resources and not allow the higher ranked, more skilled, more savant of the game to have control of those. It is a risk because APM is always a factor at every moment in this game. And it's not something you can easily measure by counting, okay, he has this amount of T2 mexes and T1 mexes. They can kind of judge what his eco's at, kind of thing. Can't really do that with APM. There's so many factors that go into it. It's hard to actually quantify. It's essentially how stressed are you? What time of night are you playing? How many games have you played today? Have you eaten enough? Are you drinking water? Are you hydrated? Like, there's so many things that go into it. Are you an Adderall? That could be another thing. Just a whole bunch of factors. That Ilshi, like, oh, I'm gonna come in from the side and take out a couple of missile launchers, and we'll get one of them, but gets just wrecked by some pillars and some PD. Team 2 is still in control of the middle, but they don't really care about it, as seen by the fact that artillery is still launching at that shield, and they're not really doing anything. ASFs come after those Corsairs, and there they go. All the Corsairs look like they're killed. Oh, almost all of them are killed off. The Interceptors can eventually kill ASF, but that's it. A couple of ASF were just needed for that engagement. T3 land, says Kefka. I think that's what they noticed up there to the north for Strife. Team 2 does not have T3 land as of yet. They have one upgrading to T3, two of them upgrading to T3, and it does look like Kefka is focusing essentially on the air, but those are under the control of Just Awesome, so I'm wondering if he's playing a little bit of a dual role, or he's just handing those off. I don't know. His commander's over here in the middle kind of hanging out. And now the Ravagers are online for Strife. He has T3 engineers, and he's able to deal with those radar and that little firebase that was built up a while ago. Missiles still raining in here from Team 2's Senhawk, constantly forcing Team 1 to build more defenses, going for shield. Obviously, you should always have shields. There's never an excuse never to have a shield. Ever. Never, ever is an excuse. Always have to have a shield. And I do like the random wall sections that are being built to just annoy the pathing for Team 1. And here comes an attack here outbound from Team 1's forces for Alexander Berlin, going after the middle. And all of them are sent southwestwardly, trying to isolate the commander of Senhawk. And it does look like Senhawk does notice and will fall back exactly to the position that he needs to go. Team 1 PD is going to be spammed up in defensive measures, and that amount of forces inbound is going straight for that line. And a couple of them will be built by the time those forces get there, and might be enough if Team 2's other forces from Just Awesome comes in and intercepts. It could be enough to dissuade, and it already is enough just to be there. It does look like half of the forces go east and half of the forces go back north. And Senhawk is going to move and intercept those personally. Oh, no, maybe, possibly, maybe. Doesn't want to fully engage. There are Ilshis in the mix, so he doesn't want to be not forthcoming, but just go straight for it. We do see Team 3 online here in the east. It is some Titans. It is about 23, 24 minutes. That does make sense. Speaking of which, at this point in the game, again, Team 2 and Team 1 both have all 3 players remaining. None of them died before 20 minutes. It's kind of been a really weird string of games that no one's died before 20 minutes. Well, I mean, that might not be the case. I've also done tomorrow's video, so I think that one I can't remember. It's one of those, I do a cast, I say some stuff, and then I just completely forget it. But Team 1 looks like they are falling behind in the mass game. Team 2 at 300, Team 1 at 200. Team 2 had control of the middle of the map for a while, but it's given a little bit of that up. And I see a strat bomber running around here for Team 2. That's going to hurt. What's that going for? Going for this land army here? I don't know if that's the best thing to go after. It's a couple of T2 units. That bomber will strike in the middle of those Ilshis, killing all those off, but I just don't think that's worth it. It's killed off 3,300 mass so far. I don't know. They are keeping it in reserve, so Team 1 doesn't just straight go after it or notice. And there's a couple of T2 Mechs back here those bombers could go after. There's a bunch of units up here in the corner where I don't know where they're going, but they're just up there. Just don't know if that bomber could be used for other things. The Calm of Strife is moving into the middle as well. But again, let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win the game. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, share this video with anyone, everyone, and especially your pets. Strife is now being assailed by some missiles. Maybe that was a misclick. He didn't mean to go this way. He meant to go this way. Army, or Amy Habuli. What? What's going on over there? It's talking to Kefka, or Kefka's talking to his allies. Or maybe he meant Billy? Maybe he meant Billy. Maybe that's what he meant. But Senhawk doesn't even have the regular missile launcher, so no would be the answer to that question. Team 2 has T3 land now and is going to go T3 Seraphim as well. That upgrade has been going for a while. It's probably been paused for a little bit, just pretty slowly. Sunhawk doesn't have a lot of mass, realistically, we play with per second. His other teammates are already over 100, if not, one of them is closing in on 200 here pretty shortly for Kefka. But it's kind of slowed down once again. It's kind of a little bit of, there's a little bit of action and then slows down, and a little bit of action and then slows down, and then a little bit of action. So I'm going to speed it up, slow it down, speed it up, slow it down to respond to that. But Alexander Berlin's going to charge that one triad by himself. He should be perfectly fine. He has, again, missile, T2, and gun. And again, there's not really a lot of forces trying to intercept. And not a lot of T2 units, a lot of T1. And gunships come in to intercept. They are Volthus, definitely better than Stingers. Alexander has now dropped into the yellow and it's falling very, very quickly. Obviously, it's on +2, so we'll slow it down to 0. He's going to get under shield coverage really quickly. And there are some ASFs to come and assist him. It does look like there is actually a T3 AA Cougar nearby. Those Volthus will retreat, and most of them will be killed off, if not all of them. But the damage was done to the commander, dropped him into the yellow. Looks like he's launching a missile as we speak. I don't know where that's going, but it says it was launching. He's building it currently, so he must have launched it earlier. Oh, there it goes. No, that's artillery. That's T2 artillery. I don't know what's going on with there. Anyway, we do see Strife now posting up where Team 2 did earlier on, and his base is being assailed by missile launchers outbound from Senhawk. Senhawk's covering for Team 2. Team 2 playing very defensively on this eastern and middle side. They were very far up here and then decided, no, that's not worth it, and then fell back. And Team 1 looks like they have caught up in the mass generation game. It could have been just power generated issues earlier. There we go. With the amount of missiles coming off of these T2 flapjacks are enough to force the Thams to engage. There's not really a lot of strikers to engage them as well. And these Thams probably get a lot of value out of this if they target the T2 units. There is a pillage to help defend, so not realistically going to get a lot of work done. Unfortunately, with that, Strife goes, that's probably no good idea. I'm just going to retreat. And Team 1 sends a response of a couple of their own missile launchers with some T1 units to escort them and move those units out of range of that fire base. But Team 1 is still holding strong. They don't have 50% of the map under their control, but they're getting slowly but steadily over to that about 50% mark. But in the east, nice run by going on. A couple of T1 Medusa left behind to deal with the T2 mechs, but these units are coming in. There is a Percy, and Percys are not really well equipped to deal with spam units. You can see one shot kills one, but you need more of a Titan, and the Titan does get built. These are definitely equipped to deal with this, and that attack will not really go anywhere. And unfortunately here for Team 2's Just Awesome. If these were other units, it probably would have been better. But as you can see, it just gets ripped to shreds. The Titan actually missing a lot, to be fair. Actually shooting over the target. You can see it. The shot's actually missing quite a lot. It's kind of very rare to see that. But does look like another Titan was built. That's going to be enough to deal with that. Is Team 2 building any sort of experimental at this stage in the game? It's almost 30 minutes. And I haven't seen much of anything so far. Speed it up. No, that's 4. Too fast, too fast. Do 2. 2 is quick enough. We do see an attack in the middle with some bricks. Strife is having to be retreated once again. And the bricks focusing on taking out all of the defenses. There is a nice little Soosair that should be taken out. There it goes. Nice little radar intelligence gathering facility. Lots of energy it costs to run it, but at least you get a nice lot of vision out of it. In the western side here for Team 1. They're pushing back again on this western side. Senhawk is being just very aggressive with his commander. Very stable with it. He's not being too aggressive, but he's not just keeping his main base. And he's using it on the front line in lieu of having, of course, a bunch of mass like his teammates have. Because he's still under 100 mass per second. While his other teammates are 200 and 170. Doesn't have a lot to play with. We do see one brick and one little deceiver still online. Oh, that mass extractor would be enough. That would be worth that one last brick. But Team 1 Strife will keep a T3 Mechs. Probably that shouldn't still be online, but is, unfortunately, for Team 2. And it looks like Team 1 Strife is just focusing his efforts entirely on the middle side of the map. And neither of the players on Team 1 and Team 2 on the eastern side, Strife and that would be Kefka, really focusing the eastern side, mainly focusing the middle. Nice little artillery base is now online for Kefka. He's going for T3. He also has Nano on board, so he's pretty well stocked up for hit points for now. But gunships are inbound. They go after the T3 mechs specifically. Those Voltus probably were definitely worth that engagement. Each one that is killed off is 350 mass, while the mechs is 2 T800. So definitely a nice investment in that regard. A couple of T2 parashields are going to be killed off. But these bricks trying to stay online, facing off against some Titans. They'll kill off the Titans, but the Titan will actually kill the brick off at the last second with some assistance. But again, Team 1 and Team 2 not being super aggressive in this game. We do see Monkey Lord now is online here for Strife. It was probably handed over by Team 1 Sailor Moon. He's focused on more of the eco role. It looks like he's at 200, catching up with Just Awesome's eco. And he's building a bunch of mass fabs. That would definitely indicate that. Team 2 has your plans to end the game. Lots of P-Gens. Lots of ASF being built out of one facility. Has a Quantum Gateway already online producing RASCOMs. The one player is going for RASCOMs. One player is going for mass fabs. Monkey Lord is online. Team 2 needs to deal with this or it's going to hurt a lot. There comes that Monkey Lord. It is inbound. And it does look like Team 2's Kefka is going to retreat. Oh, that artillery base will be taken out. There's really no defenses here besides the artillery. A couple of Voltus and Bricks are online to come and assist, but that artillery is going to die, and that Monkey Lord just running over the wall. There's no walls for you, is what he was running over it. He now isn't, but he was running over it. Looks like he's just going to focus on going to the artillery base for now. The ASFs will engage above the Monkey Lord. Now he's going after T2 and T3 mexes. He's kind of singeing T2's eco. Team 2 doesn't really have the ground units to really deal with this. Monkey Lord at 3-star eventually going to keep going to the east. Couple of tickle cannons online, but there's really nothing of value over there except for some T3 mexes, which, to be fair, is some value, but there's nothing of worth in terms of facilities that can really pump out units to defend against this Monkey Lord. So Team 2 is just being ripped to shreds on this eastern side. Team 2 still fighting back against Alexander Berlin. Now some PDs being spanned up in the form of Ravagers to force that calm back as well. Alexander Berlin will probably use his missile launcher to take that out. And that Monkey Lord is going to get some nice value out of it. As 3-star eventually going to probably get to 4 at a minimum. Strap Bomber outbound to deal with it. 1 is not going to be enough, but we'll take some hit points off. There it goes. 4-star efficiency. Almost close to 5. Needs to get 50,000 mass kill. And it's at 47.8, 49.2. And I think that is the 50,000. Yep, 51,000 killed. Bomber goes overhead. Doesn't drop the bomb, or at least misses it or something. But there are some bricks. They're coming in one by one. That's definitely not what you want to do against the Monkey Lord. And there goes that Strap Bomber for another bomb dropping. There it goes. Takes out another chunk of hit points. But again, he has 67,000 total with 47,000 remaining. Team 2 needs something else to fight against it, like their own monkey or chicken or something. But they just not building much of anything. There is a crab now being built, but it's going to take a while to build. And a FAF war to the west. I do love this from Team 1's Alexander Berlin. Once again, using the same strategy and going on this western edge of the map. Team 2 is distracted and has to constantly deal with it. You see all his forces now have to retreat to intercept. There's now a couple of units engaged as well. We'll see how that ends up playing for him. Again, there is that Monkey Lord being attacked. Now with T1 bombers, I mean, that is one way to do it. But it's pretty cost effective, I would say. And there goes the monkey being ripped to shreds by said bombers. And the Strap Bomber over the top. Looks like it actually, I don't know if that was the flak or the bomber from the bomb from the T3 strat. But I don't know. It kind of looked like it. It was very interesting in that regard. And at 36 minutes and 40 seconds in the game, let's take a look at what's going on. Still, Team 1 and Team 2 sitting about the same amount of map control as they had earlier on. The first experimental of the game is going to be killed off by Team 2, but it does look like it will survive. Actually, Strap Bomber is coming to engage once again, but the ASFs are coming off to kill it off. The flak drops it to 19 hit points, and will the Bomber just go for it? Oh, it flies by. No, but a passing ASF gets it, And there it goes. That Monkey Lord actually will make it back to base with 61,000 mass killed. Apologies for that tiny little jump skip. My dog was going nuts at the neighbor walking by the house, so I had to go deal with that. Anyway, we have on the western side Senhawk pushing forward. I think he's going to go for it. He has a decent amount of Percy's with him. He is being shot at by... Was that an Absolver? That was an Absolver. No, there's no Aeon. There had to have been a sniper of some sort. And there the Percy's come. They're coming in to engage. There's a decent amount of shielding here, but Alexander Berlin does recognize the threat and will have to retreat. Senhawk will send his Percy's in. Not with his commander, though. I know he doesn't want to be caught unawares. The ASF are going to be flying over top of him, but he could have been fine, and the amount of damage on board that commander would have been enough to deal with most of this. Percy's do get in. The artillery is the main primary source of grievances here for him, so he should be targeting that. There's one artillery still online. The PD, of course, are also shooting at him. We should also shoot at those, but enough Percy's still left online. It should be enough to deal with the rest of the defenses and push forward. So Senhawk could have easily just stayed with his troops. And in the east, the Monkey Lord is repping up 135 hit points a second. Finally sneezed after however long it's been. But Tikmi engineers are repairing that mechs. And there's a parachute guarding that Monkey Lord. But it does look like the wall is being guarded now by some bricks. So the brick are filling in for the walls. So it's essentially a brick wall. There's a joke in there somewhere, and I don't know where I was going with it. A couple of ASFs are taking out all those grounded bombers, but not really a huge threat here to Team 1. And the ASFs here from them will be killed off, unfortunately. Team 2, I don't see any sort of big ticket item plays. Almost 40 minutes on the clock here. Crab will finish here in just a moment. Team 1 has another experimental online. It's a Fat Boy as well as Sailor Moon. That's either a monkey or a crab or something else. And experimental for Alexander, that's Seraphim, so that most likely is a chicken, or maybe it was just transferred over to multiple different people. Stripe still has his... Where is it? Nothing up there. There's the monkey. Looks like it was transferred over to Alexander Berlin, so that definitely was Sailor Moon's. And in terms of the map overall, we can see still a huge gap in the middle, huge gap in the east, and still a gap in the west as sniper bots are retreating from that front line. And again, it's just another instances where this game just gets speed up a little bit. And this game might actually be a lot shorter than I thought it would be. We're at 40 minutes on the clock and about 37 something seconds on the recording. So it's going to be probably a little bit of a shorter game. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to have a shorter game because, you know, having an hour plus long cast every single time. There are some people that love that, and some people are like, can you cast like some shorter games? So I didn't intend for this to be short, but you know, this is not like the other game that will be casted tomorrow, or that you'll see tomorrow, that I actually watched before. I sat down and actually watched it. This one I ran through to make sure there's no desyncs and whatnot, and then moved on. And the ladder matches aren't as, quote, exciting as the custom matches, just due to the fact that there's less players, and the map is usually 20 by 20 and all of that. So ladder matches are definitely a hit and miss. Custom matches are mostly, like, very exciting. So let's see if that Fat Boy will break through that front line. But it does look like that crab is going to engage, and this looks like it's going to be sent straight for that monkey. Not monkey, that... Fat Boy. The Fat Boy is going to retreat. Will the monkey for Team 1 come and intercept? Again, 68,000 mass killed on board that monkey. And the Fat Boy is going to just move in and go. That's probably not the best idea. The monkey is just going to go straight for it. Going to try to barrel on through. There's a lot of parashields and Team 1 bombers coming in to assist that attack. That monkey will catch up with that Fat Boy. Fat Boy does not have any shields on board. And that Fat Boy will be killed off by the monkey here. Pale shields cannot be used as bullet sponges for long. We have some Percy's trying to make their way in front of that monkey, and I think those Percy's are just going to be enough to save that Fat Boy. It's dropping into the red. There it goes. There goes the monkey on the western side, and on the east, the Fat Boy is retreating. The monkey was called in to assist, but it was taken out And this push of Authams and Bricks is huge here for Team 2. I think this is the first like big land conflict of the game. At 43 minutes, that Fat Boy trying to stay out of range of that Megalith. Megalith still pushing in. Lots of tickle cannons pumping out some plasma or lasers or whatever nonsense it's called. Probably plasma. Looks like lasers, so maybe lasers. I don't know. Anyway, there are a couple of... There's actually one Ravager in that mix. But the crab will retreat and trying to get out of range. But now there's a bug online here for Team 1's air player of Sailor Moon. And now it will kill off that Megalith with the assistance from some Corsairs. There it goes. There's not a lot of AA in the mix, and I think the ASFs are mostly dead here for Team 2. There's some coming in. And that bug is going to be the primary target. Already dropped into the yellow. Oh, I think Team 2 might just get the bug. It's going to be close. If they get it, it's still severely... No, they don't get it, but it's severely wounded, so that bug can't realistically be used in any sort of operations for a while. But Team 2 no longer has ASF. They need a different way to fight in this game. E3 mass fabs are being built. Kefka standing next to an SMD. That's a pretty safe place to stand. There's really no efforts to build any game enders or any of that sort of thing. In the north, we see one satellite being built, and now a disruptor coming online here for Team 1 as well. So Team 1 wants to end the game sooner rather than later. And just don't know. I feel like Team 2, they had the they had the resources. They were in the lead in that regard. They just didn't funnel it into other projects. And they still have that. Where's that quantum? There's the quantum gateway. Reducing mass fabs. Well, I don't know. I feel like they don't have a goal in mind. Team 1 at least has something in mind. They went for a bug. Probably could have funneled that mass into a disruptor. Or the satellite, either or. Either project would have been good. Fat Boy on the front line, still pushing back against now the chicken that's appeared here for Alexander Berlin. That chicken should be fine. There's not a lot of firepower from ground to ground in terms of like the Perseus and the like. There's a lot of parashields, but that's really about it. Not a lot of anything else. And again, I think at this point I have to speed it up once again. And every time I think that's it for speeding up, or I'll have to speed it up again. The match kind of slows down a little bit. Get tower defense, says Kefka. And Team 1 does have the ability to go for a telemazer, but I don't think Sailor Moon's going to go for it. He's going for Ras. At least has Ras on board for the moment. Disruptor still going strong in the green now. Once that pops online, if that pops online and Team 1 doesn't notice, Team 2 doesn't notice the satellite as well, that's really going to hurt Team 2. They have shields, but they don't really have, again, anything else to fight with. Nice little T2 shield protecting 4 T3 mass fabs. Be a nice target of assault for that artillery or that satellite. Either way, Fat Bar coming in to assist the East in the front, and Chicken moving in from Kefka. Combined forces in the west here. A lot of Authams and Fat Boys moving in, targeting the Chicken. And the artillery is rebuilt by Alexander Berlin. That artillery is now in range of the Fat Boy. That Fat Boy should be targeting the artillery. There it goes. The artillery still raining in. Emitters are going down. Alexander Berlin going to launch a missile. Is it going to impact against the Fat Boy? Impacts the shield, but that's it. And that T2 artillery is going to go down, unfortunately, here for Alexander Berlin. And the Chicken will now move in to intercept and force the Fat Boy to retreat. But again, it's the whole catching up to the Fat Boy. Even though its name is Fat Boy, it does move pretty quick. And that is something that Team 1 needs to be aware of course, because the further away from their main base they go, the more opportunity it gives for Team 2 to engage. And those Authams are moving in to intercept the Authams outbound from Team 1. And the Chicken, again, could be going after the Fat Boy. Now it's going after all those parashields, and there are a ton of them, to be fair. But Team 1, again, they have the air forces to just pump out not ASF, but Corsairs, which they're doing now. They're still trying to target that Fat Boy. Fat Boy at 75,000 mass killed so far. And now the Chicken is down once again. I don't really know how Team 2 is going to fare against this. Here comes the artillery raining in. They're targeting those mass fabs. One shield was taken out, but the other one was built to protect it. And still no efforts to go for any T3 artillery or any sort of things. We have the satellite actually technically off the map. You can't even see it, but it's right here where my cursor is at the bottom of the screen. It's targeting all the hives and now the quantum gateway to stop the production or gating in of Rascoms. We need to push. Too much ranged damage coming in. Just awesome is correct. But there's really nothing to push in with. And again, it's one of those moments where I'm just going to have to speed the game up. Bug is running around the map. The Disruptor is nice and shielded. Second satellite's coming online. I love the little template here with a lot of... there's one shield with a bunch of mass fabs. And there are a couple of mass storages as well mixed in there. So do love to see that. So you can scale that mass bar up. Bricks are moving in. Team 1 doesn't really have a lot of land defenses. They do have the Soul Ripper coming in to assist in defensive measures, and it's being heavily screened by the ASF. Team 2 needs to engage that experimental gunship and deal with that. This would be enough, I think, to kill Alexander Berlin if they're able to get close enough. And it does look like that chicken is just going to push westward as well. All three armies are going to combine here on this western side, I think, and just go straight for Alexander Berlin. It looks like that's the weaker side in terms of Team 1's lineup. We don't have air control. We wasted so much mass on their side. Go, says Kefka. And I think go will be the thing that I would use to indicate that it's time to slow back down once again. The chicken is pushing, and it is the battle of the match here. They have a bunch of units moving in to intercept that front line. Will this break through the front line of Team 1? Will it be enough to win the game? Will it be enough to annoy them and force them to surrender? Or will Team 2 strike out and not win the game? Please, of course, let me know down in the comments what you think is going to happen. Please timestamp it. Here come the bricks. They are moving in to deal with those artillery. Alexander Berlin is retreating. And Team 1 is now being forced to retreat. All forces being diverted to that center attack. Fat Boy back here. Autumn's coming in one by one. Definitely not the best engagement in that regard. Chicken still pushing, and the Bug was taken out by the AA. Fat Boy versus Fat Boy, and this Fat Boy for Team 2 will be taken out. He does have a parachute, but he lost the parachute. Artillery raining in around him. There he goes. He is done and dusted. But second chicken is inbound. Lots of bricks moving in, and a satellite built by Team 2 as well. Oh, the chicken is getting in pretty close. The chicken could just go after the ground. You need to keep pushing in. You need to keep pushing in. The tickle cannons will kill the chicken off. Oh, it's not going to look good. And where's the second chicken here for Team 2? It's right here. I feel like there was a missed opportunity to go after that Fat Boy, but the attack does peter out very, very quickly, unfortunately, here for Team 2. And that might just another eco game, says Kefka. Well, yeah, I mean, it is part of the game, unfortunately, here for him, but it does look like that might be just the end of the match there. It's got to hurt. I'm going to speed it up to 2. And artillery raining in against Team 2, and Kefka's team does recall, and that is it. Team 1 wins the game at 52 minutes and 16 seconds on the clock. I feel like for Team 1, I feel like the MVP, I think it goes to Strife. He held off very well on this eastern side against 2 players earlier on. He had the monkey that came in and ravaged that front line. He had the attack way earlier on, just constantly annoying Team 2. Team 2 didn't take the opportunity while they had it to either scale eco or go for some bigger ticket items. And Team 1 just came in and just built a disruptor and a satellite. But Team 2 did see the writing on the wall and go, well, if we don't break through, that might be it. And that was it. And that would cause Team 2 to back out and quit the game. And I don't blame them, because there's no sense in playing a game you know you're not going to lose. I mean, it's nice to see, the fiery explosions of the comms and whatnot, but neither team was... Team 1 was really focused on eco. They were defending, but they weren't really focused on it. Team 2 were attacking them, and that is the downside with going and attacking, is the fact that if you don't secure that part of the map where your units die, you're just gifting mass over to your opponent. So it's kind of a will they, won't they scenario, but in this case, it is a won't they, and Team 2 ended up losing for that. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment down below what your favorite moment of the video was. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for watching. I will see all of you in the next one.